The Elizabeth line is over 2 years old. London's second train system to go through the central and city parts of London. We're going to be reacting and learning 101 facts about the Elizabeth line.
In this video, we're taking a look at 101 facts about London's newest railway. One of the biggest, boldest and most expensive rail infrastructure operations in Europe, the line is the most significant addition to London's transport network in a generation. Here we cover the entire project and the entire line from east to west, through the capital and beyond. This is 101 facts about the Elizabeth line.
Right.
Let's start with a well-known fact. The project's original name was called Crossrail. What you may not have known though is that before earning its eventual name, an early proposal was made to call it the Churchill Line after the wartime Prime Minister Winston Churchill. But the Elizabeth line was ultimately chosen. This was marked by Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II in February 2016 during a visit to the Bond Street site. After delays due to construction issues and the global pandemic, the line was officially opened by the Queen on May 17, 2022 in her Platinum Jubilee year. The line is run by the MTR Corporation, previously known as the Mass Transit Railway Corporation, on behalf of Transport for London. For the purposes of running the railway, the company brands themselves more specifically as MTR Elizabeth Line, and they were initially awarded the concession back in 2014. The first revenue-earning trains on the line between Abbey Wood and Paddington began running 1 week later on Tuesday the 24th of May. The very first train, hauled by unit number 345008, left Abbey Wood for Paddington at 6:30 AM. Click the link above or in the description below to relive the very first day of passenger operations on the line. The motive power for the entire route comes in the form of the Class 345 Aventra units, built by Bombardier Transportation specifically for the project. We'll have more details on what's affectionately become known as the Purple Train during this video. The line carried over 1 million passengers in total during its first week of operation alone, a mixture of transport enthusiasts and commuters getting used to their new travel plans. The Elizabeth line links up 3 different sections of railway into one. Apart from the new build central section between Paddington and Abbey Wood, services previously run under the TfL Rail banner were rebranded. These were the easterly services between Shenfield and Liverpool Street, and also between Reading, Heathrow Airport and Paddington in the west. The Elizabeth line has 41 stations across those 3 sections. All of the 41 stations have step-free access from the street to platform level, a huge goal of the original project. The initial cost of the project was estimated to be around the £15 billion mark. However, the total to date is now closer to £19 billion overall. That's quite a lot, isn't it? The line has been built to provide capacity for 200 million passenger journeys per year. This is the largest single increase to central London's rail capacity for more than 70 years. The length of the line stretches over 70 miles across the counties of Berkshire, Buckinghamshire, Greater London and Essex. The purple colour scheme and branding seemed appropriate to mark Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth's Diamond Jubilee. However, according to TfL, this is actually a coincidence. The colour had already been chosen to easily differentiate the line from the rest of the London Underground on the tube map. The Elizabeth line incorporates a number of signalling and safety variations. In addition to the automatic CBTC system, it also incorporates AWS, TPWS and ETCS. Do spare a thought for the drivers having to get to grips with all of these different systems. Let's look at some of the project's origins. As far back as the early 19th century, the Regent's Canal Company tried to capitalise on the railway boom by lobbying for permission to build a surface railway across the capital. Permission was granted, but ultimately sufficient funds couldn't be raised, and the plan was, no pun intended, sunk. Further plans for a cross-rail style railway were also proposed in 1919 by the London Underground's commercial manager, Frank Pick. The proposal would have connected mainline railways to the east and west through new tube tunnels through central London. Imagine that. Ultimately, this didn't happen either at the time, despite the other developments across the tube network. In 1943, the County of London Plan was published in an effort to help the city plan for life after the Second World War. The rail part of this plan utilised a very similar route to the current Elizabeth line. This too didn't get off the ground at the time, although extensions to other London Underground lines such as the Victoria and Jubilee line did eventually follow. The 1974 London Rail Study is mostly where the term Crossrail originates from, proposing tunnels from the Western Region's lines west of Paddington to join up with the Eastern Region's lines east of Bethnal Green. The study also marks the first acknowledgement that the line needed to be more than just another tube line. It was argued that it needed to effectively be a fully functioning mainline railway that just so happened to spend a short period of time under the surface. Costs, however, meant that this project had to be shelved as well. In 1980, a British Rail discussion paper once again raised the possibility of a cross-rail system, this time linking infrastructure from the north and south of the capital, once again proposing a central tunnel to link them. This too fell through. Then, in October 1990, the government at last gave the go-ahead to British Rail and London Transport to develop the east to west cross-rail scheme. A private bill was then submitted to Parliament in November 1991. Although hopes were high that the scheme would go ahead, a combination of the recession and the increased strain on public finances meant that the bill was ultimately rejected in May 1994. At this point, you'd be forgiven for wondering if the project would ever happen. In July 2000, the Labour government published a 10-year transport plan named Transport 2010, once again asserting the need for an east-to-west rail link. The scheme, which then ultimately became the Elizabeth line that we know today, was developed by Transport for London and the Department for Transport in 2001. After 4 years of draft proposals and deliberation, the Crossrail Hybrid Bill was submitted to Parliament in 2005. Finally, after several false dawns, scrapped plans and the wonderful rigours of parliamentary procedure, the Select Committee greenlit the project on October the 5th, 2007. Royal assent was then granted on the 22nd of July 2008. Yes, Crossrail was now a reality. Hooray! Let's break down the different sections, starting with the new build section running between Paddington and Abbey Wood. Owing to the somewhat clickbaity title of the video, this is London's newest section of railway, with 10 new stations constructed. Construction for this core section formally began on the 15th of May 2009 at the site of the Canary Wharf station. The first building to technically be complete and opened from the project is also here at Canary Wharf. The spectacular Crossrail Place rooftop garden can be found here. Well worth a visit for all of you horticologists out there whenever you're next to the vicinity. The building of the line has unearthed over 10,000 objects discovered by archaeologists working across the different sites. These include items dating back to the Roman period, plus old burial sites from the era of the Black Plague. It was one of the largest archaeology investigations ever in the UK. The bulk of the main construction of the line began in 2011, as the tunnel boring machines began to burrow below the London streets. 42 kilometres of new rail tunnels were created during this process. Each tunnelling machine was 1,000 tonnes in weight and 150 metres long, with 20-person tunnel gangs working right around the clock in the construction of the core section. In a welcome development for wildlife, more than 4 million tonnes of excavated material have been shipped to Wallasey Island in Essex. Here, a new 115-acre nature reserve was created. Initially, the main tunnel phase was due to be finished by 2018. However, due to the complexities of the construction and then the global pandemic taking hold in 2020, it took until 2022 to complete this part of the scheme, which meant that the project finished around 4 years late and £4 billion over the initial budget. Ouch. But focusing on the positives, this new section of railway increases London's rail capacity by 10%, alleviating some of the pressure of the London Underground's most crowded interchanges. Despite the wallet-busting cost of the project, it's estimated that its construction and use will contribute £42 billion to the UK economy. After the rest of the core section finally began operations, the last station to be completed on the route was Bond Street, which fully opened opened slightly later on the 24th of October 2022.
It's like the Victoria line.
Something that immediately sets these new stations apart from their London Underground equivalents is the sheer scale. They have platform lengths of over 200 metres long. Each station is something of an architectural masterpiece. In addition to the familiar glass fibre panels at platform level in the core section, each station has been given a local, personal touch by the architects, linking them to their historical surroundings. Check out the links in the description to a 2-part special where we explore each of the 10 new stations and uncover several hidden gems in the process. The top speed for this core section of the line is around 60 miles per hour. Liverpool Street currently offers the most immediate connections on the line. You can change for the Central, Circle, Metropolitan and Hammersmith and City Tube lines, plus the Northern Line link to Moorgate and the London Overground. That's without even mentioning the National Rail connection at the grand old Great Eastern Railway terminus. Now let's take a look at the 2 other sections of the line. The original TfL Rail brand was essentially a concession awarded to MTR, which operated commuter services across these sections. This is while the actual Crossrail section linking them all up was still under construction. The branding was changed immediately upon the opening of the core section of the Elizabeth line. First, we'll look at the easterly stretch. This section shares infrastructure alongside the Great Eastern Main Line, where Greater Anglia trains speed by to and from destinations such as the fine city of Norwich, Ipswich, Colchester, Stratford and then into Liverpool Street. The top speed permitted for Elizabeth line trains running on this section out to Shenfield is around 70 miles per hour. TfL Rail operations began on this section from May 2015, taking control from Abellio Greater Anglia on the commuter metro services along this part of the route. The service was initially handled by Class 315 units, which were bid a fond farewell in November 2022 with special shuttle services between Liverpool Street and Shenfield. After their official farewell tour, the 315s lasted a few more weeks before being officially decommissioned in December of 2022. The Class 345 units were first introduced along this route from the 22nd of June 2017. Before going through the core section from Whitechapel onwards, there are 13 other stations along this part of the route. As well as the trains, many of the stations now have purple Elizabeth line branding and features applied to their entrances and on the platform. Before we roll on, if you're enjoying the video so far, please hit the thumbs up button, click subscribe and tap the notification bell to make sure you don't miss the first viewings of the latest channel uploads, and feel free to leave a comment with your own favourite Elizabeth line facts below. Now let's look at the western portion of the Elizabeth line. From Paddington, Elizabeth line trains share infrastructure with the Great Western Main Line. After Paddington, 18 additional stations can be found heading out towards Reading and Heathrow Airport. Elizabeth line trains on this section run faster than on any other part of the network, with up to 90 miles per hour running permitted. TfL Rail had taken over operation of the Heathrow Connect service in May 2018, along with some of the GWR services between Paddington and Hayes and Harlington. Initially, the Heathrow Connect section had been operated by Class 360 D0 units, which were eventually displaced by the Class 345. By 2019, TfL Rail added the stopping services between Paddington and Reading stations to its portfolio, moving the Crossrail project one step closer to being completely joined up. After initial testing, the Class 345s then began full running along these western sections between 2019 and 2020. Speaking of the 345s, let's turn our attention back to the rolling stock and examine them in more detail. All of these rather fetching units were built between 2015 and 2019. Construction took place in the East Midlands. Bombardier built the units at their Litchurch Lane works in Derby. Other members of the Aventra family of trains include the Class 701 South Western Railway sets, Class 710 sets that work on the London Overground services, the Class 720s operated by Greater Anglia, and the Class 730 sets built for West Midlands trains. 70 Class 345 units have been built in total to run across the different sections, and again, all specifically for the Elizabeth line. The cost to produce the units rounds up to approximately £1 billion overall. In total, they tipped the scales at 319 tonnes in weight.
My God.
The 345s actually started off life as 7-car sets before upgrades across the system and lengthened platforms allowed them to be extended to their current 9-car formations. As a result, the total number of vehicles that run on the line from the unit is 630. As a result of their extensions, they're now just shy of 205 metres in length. Just to put that into context, to walk from end to end, you're more or less walking the equivalent of 2 football pitches. They are electric multiple units powered by overhead wires. This is the case on all 3 sections, including the central core under the surface. Transport for London have agreed a sale and leaseback deal for the units, with TfL retaining the option to buy them back at the end of the 20-year lease. The money generated from this deal will go directly into the newly designed Tube for London being created. In line with their highest permitted running speed on the western section, the total top speed of the units is up to 90 miles per hour. Each unit boasts a continuous gangway throughout. You'll certainly build up the step counter by walking from one end to the other, walking the 200 plus metres. In terms of internal design, whilst there are no toilets on board or first class seating areas, the vehicles have a mixture of longitudinal and transverse seating. In addition, there are dedicated wheelchair spaces which include emergency alarm buttons to speak to the driver. Throughout the carriages of the train, there are 10 multi-use spaces for buggies, bicycles and large luggage. The units are also fully air conditioned and have CCTV throughout. In total, they can currently accommodate 1,500 people. In keeping with other TfL lines, a new moquette seating pattern has been specially created, and of course reflects the purple colour of the line and the logo. Here's a more subtle little discovery. The roundels here and the silver and black design on the grab handles match the aesthetic of the front of the unit and match the benches in the core section of the route. A nice touch there from the designers. The first unit to receive a name was number 345,024. The unit is named after Heidi Alexander, London's former Deputy Mayor for Transport. Here it is passing through West Ealing. In the core section, the units can actually drive themselves. This is thanks to a modern signalling system called CBTC, which stands for Communications-Based Train Control. Certainly one of the more unique innovations of modern rolling stock. A neat feature about the automatic train control means that when a train terminates in the Westbourne Park sidings just outside Paddington, the driver will be able to walk back to the other side of the unit while it's in motion heading back towards the eastbound section of the portal. That 200-metre walk will certainly do wonders for their cardio. The units are predicted by their manufacturers to have a lifespan of around 40 years of service from build date, taking them to somewhere around the late 2050s if everything goes to plan. For future-proofing, if passenger numbers grow and become more popular than originally estimated, extra platform space can be made, allowing 2 more coaches to be added to the existing units, as if they weren't long enough already. The units are primarily maintained at a new depot at Old Oak Common, a site synonymous with the railways for its historical roots with the Great Western Railway. The new Old Oak Common depot can store up to 42 of the 70 units at once. Automatic systems scan the trains on entry, reducing overall maintenance times. The stretch of line up to Shenfield is also where the main Crossrail signalling centre can be found. Close to Romford Station, this is officially known as the Romford Rail Operating Centre. The entire Elizabeth line and its signalling is monitored at this location. Staff at the centre work 24/7 at what is essentially mission control for the line's operations. Let's start winding down our list by looking to the future. At the time of making this video, it's been confirmed that the line will continue to be operated by the MTR Corporation until at least 2025. Could the Elizabeth line be expanded? Well, there are hopes that the line could be further extended from some of its existing termini. For instance, proposals have been made to extend along the North Kent line from Abbey Wood down to Ebbsfleet International, opening up a potential connection with Eurostar services once they start stopping there again. There are also proposals to include a new station close to London City Airport. The site of the old Silvertown station was previously earmarked as a possibility. Although that hasn't happened and the Silvertown site has made way for the Abbey Wood branch, discussions about a new station to serve the airport remain ongoing. A more realistic possibility is an extension of services beyond Shenfield to take trains directly to Southend Airport and Southend Victoria. Unsurprisingly, Southend-on-Sea City Council has already thrown support behind the plans. Old Oak Common will continue to play an important role in not just the future of the Elizabeth line, but also in the development of the HS2 project. A new station at the site will form a massive rail interchange where Elizabeth line and HS2 services will call among a host of other services being proposed. Construction has already begun. Calls have also been made to extend beyond the Heathrow stops in the west as far as Staines.
Respect.
Though this particular proposal has yet to be approved or funded at the time of making this video.
Behave.
There's also the possibility of a brand new Crossrail 2 project being constructed. Though this scheme is still in development, this would link up more parts of the capital with surrounding areas such as Hertfordshire and Surrey, with a new north to south style route being proposed. Yes, even with the current Crossrail system finally complete after all this time, it seems that some people have still got the appetite for more. Speaking of appetite and popularity, the Elizabeth line is so popular it even has its own merchandise ranges.
So cool.
Head to the London Transport Museum's website to browse the range, including wooden trains, bags, face coverings, or even sofas and deck chairs of all things. Stick me down for a deck chair. There's also an unofficial purple train store with merch worn by the likes of the great Jeff Marshall and many enthusiasts up and down the land. To get your own Purple Train t-shirt, visit purpletrain.store. The line doesn't have its own specific social media handles, but the Transport for London social channels do post updates and reply to specific queries. These are all linked in this video's description box. TfL's main website status page is a good place to check for updates about the line's service status on that given day, and of course any connections to other tube lines you might be planning. There's also a specific Elizabeth line page on TfL's website where more info about the specific services, fares and news updates are posted. Again, this is all linked for you in the video description. Last but certainly not least, the original Crossrail website is still online if you want to read more about the history and even more details and facts about the wider project. This too is linked in the description. I hope you enjoyed this video featuring 101 facts about the Elizabeth line.
Thank you guys for watching this video and reacting with me. This video has made me so nerdy. The Elizabeth line is beautiful, like I said earlier in the video. And it's still providing good service for passengers travelling within London. It's good that MTR is running it until 2025. I find it scary. I don't know what they do. I think they're very scary, like they're taking over the world, kind of scary. There is another video that I might react to. I'm looking at it right now. It's 66 facts about the class 66. Subscribe. I put my thumbs up. Firstly, like if you enjoyed this video, and subscribe if you would like to see more reactions to trains. I have been mostly reacting to around the React series to car crashes, just to get an entertainment, because the channel of randomness, I've found the purpose is that I want to post different things, which makes the channel random, which is why it's called the channel of randomness. I'm doing I'm doing what I would like to do for you guys to just have a good day, just to be entertained, but have something to have a smile on your face. I'm doing my best. Everyone's doing their best. Not everyone's perfect, and that's fine. That's fine. I want to say you are perfect, but I think that will make me think that you guys will probably think that's cringy. All right. I hope you have a great rest of your day. If it's the evening, I hope you have a great rest of the evening, or a great rest of your night. If you're watching this, let's say 3 or 4 in the morning, that's okay. If you want to watch something that's, I don't know what kind of video I'll make this into. Thanks, editor. I would like to know what you think of the Elizabeth line. I will share my thoughts, more thoughts on the Elizabeth line, if I think about them, to add them in the description. See ya.